IELTS Speaking, 10 Common Mistakes to Avoid. 1. Silence. It's fine to hesitate for a few seconds before speaking or between ideas. But silences of longer than 5 seconds will go down badly. Different cultures have different attitudes to silence, but for English speakers the attitude is one of near zero tolerance. There's a solution to this problem, and that's to learn some filler expressions such as "that's a tough question and let me see." 2. Memorized answers. The examiner is very likely to notice if you try to recite an answer from memory, and there is a penalty for this. The telltale signs of a memorized answer include speaking a written style of English, unnatural intonation, and the candidate attempting to rephrase the question to the one they want to answer. Any questions you try to memorize answer to are very unlikely to be asked, so it is much more effective to practice speaking about a wide range of topics before you take the test. 3. Overuse of transition signals. It's helpful to use a few signposting words like first, for example, or on the other hand. But if you overload your speech with these, you could actually damage your score. There are also many words characteristic of formal writing such as furthermore, moreover, and in addition, that are hardly ever used in speech and could actually make you sound less natural if you say them. 4. Parrotting the question. In the wild, a parrot is a bird that can mimic but not understand human speech. In IELTS, a parrot is a candidate who repeats the question back in statement form. Example: what's your favorite sport to watch on TV? Answer: my favorite sport to watch on TV is football. As the scoring criteria of IELTS heavily reward those who can vary speech, paraphrasing the words or structure of the question is a fast-track route to a higher score. I am always watching football on TV. 5. Answering the wrong question. You will lose marks for coherence if your answer completely fails to address the question. Ask yourself before you begin speaking if you are sure you have understood, and do not be afraid to ask the examiner for help. But be sure to avoid 6. Saying "I don't understand." There are much better ways to check for meaning, so learn them. You can use a straightforward request like "could you say that again, please?" or ask a checking question such as "do you mean?" That shows you have at least partly understood the question. 7. Saying too much or too little. If you say too little, you miss the opportunity to show off your ability. If you say too much, you risk sounding less coherent and making more mistakes. As a general guide, answers of 2 to 4 sentences are fine in Part 1. There are clear instructions about the length of speaking time in Part 2. You should aim to say 3 to 6 sentences after each question in Part 3. 7. Saying too much or too little. Great ideas are worthless if the listener can't make out your words. There's a good reason pronunciation accounts for 25% of the score in IELTS speaking, and that's because it's fundamental to spoken communication. Before taking IELTS, you should find an opportunity to practice with native or native-level speakers and get an honest appraisal of your pronunciation. If they have trouble hearing your words, it's very likely the examiner will too. 9. Flat intonation. Even when you pronounce words clearly, flat intonation will make it difficult to follow what you say. We vary intonation, pitch, volume and speaking speed in order to maintain the listener's interest and direct attention to our important ideas. 10. Asking for the examiner's opinion. You are there to answer the questions, not ask them. If you really don't have any ideas, just say "I'm afraid I know nothing about this topic" and wait for the next question. Thank you for watching.